are live. Hello, everybody. Uh, Tonight we have, well, this is the beginning of hopefully many more videos that Heather and I decided to put together, playing on that whole Heather's vibe from the 90s. Everyone remembers that movie, I'm sure. And for our first video, we had invited Maija from Black Cat Tarot. However, we know how crazy Maija's life can be, so she may or may not be able to join us. But in the meantime, we will still go ahead and still carry on reading about Miss Wendy O Williams. And just really quick, we have Teresa Levine in chat. Hello, P44 Chippo. Backyard Naturals Tarot, which is Laura. Thank you for joining us. And before we get started, Heather, you got anything going on coming up this week with your lives or being on a guest?
See this with you, and then on Thursday with you and Black Cat, and then I do my live meditation in the morning and like a collective read for that.
Okay.
On Fridays. And then I think next Monday I'll be on Kelly's Circle of Friends.
Oh, very nice.
On the 30th, so
very nice. And
so I'm trying to like pace myself.
I know it's like I want to do more and more, but when you're like got boxes and boxes, it's just like, okay, little at a time, a live here and there, boxes here.
So it's just like I have my pick of cards and then my meditation too. Like I have one uploading, like I told you earlier. It's been like 5 hours processing. I'm like, thank you, Mercury.
Yes, Mercury retrograde. We send you love. Now go. So thank you,
Manasa. All over it.
Hey, Ron. How are ya? Yep, we were on Ron last night. He got on to let everybody know he's doing okay. And Amy, you have a channel. I gotta click on this. Amy Smiling Love and Light Oracle. Very nice. Congratulations, Amy. Very nice. So make sure everybody that let's help support our community. Go out, check out Amy's channel, hit the subscribe. Let's support her as well. We have Manasa with us as well. And Ron, he didn't get, where do we go here? And Ron, he didn't get blown away. So good to see you, Ron. Was on for a little bit last night. And let's see, we have Lisa Stevens popped in. Hello, Lisa. And so with this series, Heather and I want to kind of do some fun topics. I don't know if it's going to be able to be weekly right now because we're, adjusting and learning and growing with our channels and for me with moving and everything. But we decided to do this really cool collab, which thank you, Heather, for joining me to do this. And I wanted to kind of start reading on women, female musicians for this one, tapping into artists who, were here briefly, some here for a little bit, but left an indelible mark, on music, in life and politics, whatever it may be. But tonight we wanted to focus on, by request of Maija, on Wendy O Williams from the Plasmatics. So if anybody doesn't know who she is, Wendy was actually the pioneer to all the heavy metal and punk women that were on the scene. That's a picture of her in her heyday. She was known to wear very little on stage, but for her, as I was reading about the music, for her it was a way of exercising things that she went through, in life. It was a way of kind of, it was a protest like punk rock was. That was, really just kind of protesting against the establishment, the man, societal norms, so to speak. And I'll just do like a brief little history because Heather and I didn't want to read too much on her because we kind of want to do a little bit of a cold read to see what we got, through being shipped through the cards, and Heather with her guides, excuse me. I'm a little nervous. Can you still tell? How many times now already? But one of the pictures that I felt when I was going through that Wendy wanted me to share was one of the few that people rarely see of her. And that's her with a smile. She did have a beautiful smile. Let's see if I can. Sorry about the glare, everybody. There we go. I know it's a little bit on the side here. Focus. Focus. Okay, thank you, Mercury retrograde. But if we were to look up, and of course, the sad story, with Wendy was that in '98 she did take her life. She did deal with depression, but not focusing so much on that, but wanting to kind of just like connect with her, get her energy, and see what any messages that she has. Because I know mental health is, especially back then, I mean, we've made great strides, with mental health since 1998. There's a lot more support. There's peer support now. There are a lot more programs. It's starting to become more of a conversation instead of always hiding under the rug. And I like that because when I discovered I had a mental health diagnosis from my first suicide attempt, there was so much outpouring of support and support groups and therapy that helped. And back then, they really didn't have that. We thought it was stigmatized now. I mean, it was even worse back then. Any sort of inkling that, someone was, depressed or sad or whatever, it was either, getting hit up with a bunch of medication or actually just being taken to a psychiatric hospital and not having no say, about being there. So it has come a long way. So just so you know that, speaking tonight and reading, as I had already said, suicide will be mentioned. We'll kind of do more like a trauma-informed kind of history, with Wendy. But it is a conversation, a topic that I'm like feeling like she really says we need to talk about. Because I think if she had more support, there were more programs and options for her back then, we may still have her today. I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to add, Heather, about what you've read on.
I just read a little bit about her. She was pretty out there, and that was the vibe she gave me. She liked to push boundaries. She liked to push stigmas, and she was just very bold in her expression because it was an expression of herself and her voice, which probably she didn't feel like she had growing up.
Yeah. And I think that's why she went into that type of music too. And she was known for being the front woman of the Plasmatics, and they went solo. She would, take a chainsaw, cut the guitars, and she would always have a car on stage where she would demolish. It was her way of just releasing all of that pent up energy that she had. I know in an interview that I saw, she was asked, well, why are you damaging all these things when somebody, could be used? And I don't know what, that was a stupid question. Of course, it was a male that was interviewing her. No offense to the guys in there, but it's okay for Keith Moon and them to, destroy, or Pete Townsend destroys guitars and not too much being made about it. But when the woman does it, then there's, there's got to be something truly wrong with her. So it was that kind of attitude. And she says it was a way to express, like you said, her angst, her anger, the way she saw the way the world was. And that, this was the way to kind of wake people up, to bring people's attention to the way the world was and how people were suffering. And just a quick little snippet before we read, she was born Wendy Orlin Williams, May 28th, 1949, and she passed on April 6th in 1998. They said she was born in Webster. However, when I watched an interview this afternoon, she said she was from Rochester. So she may have been born in Webster, but she grew up in Rochester, which is just not far up here from me. And she was noted for her onstage theatrics, which included partial nudity, exploding equipment, firing a shotgun, and chainsawing guitars. She also performed her own stunts in her videos. No stunt doubles for this woman. Um, she did go solo and was nominated in 1985 for a Grammy for Best Female Rock Performance. And that's incredible because, I mean, she had a really strong voice. I know people are thinking when they think heavy metal babes, they think Lita Ford, Joan Jett. Well, she was before these ladies, so I think she really paved the way where she just had that real heavy, gravelly voice, and she was highly respected by the men in the profession. Lemmy from Motorhead was a friend of hers, and they had performed together. And after she passed, he actually recorded a song on an album and dedicated it to her. So she was highly respected by her male counterparts in the music industry. She was 48 when she passed, when she took her life. And she did leave home at 16. So that's automatically telling me something wasn't right that was going on at home. I didn't want to, dig any deeper or further into that, but she did have various jobs. She traveled across, Florida and Europe as a lifeguard, a stripper, a macrobiotic cook. That's interesting. And Dunkin' Donuts. So she had quite the life. So I think, and of course, she performed at CBGB, where, that's where the punk bands really got their go with the Ramones. Even the Ramones held her in high regard for her performances. So, and when she passed, she was living in Connecticut. And they said allegedly she had been struggling with deep depression, but it's not alleged now. I mean, everybody knows that, she did have depression. So that was a major factor in her in taking her life. But let's we can just get going and start reading. And I didn't know if Heather, if you want to go first, if you were all right, because I know you said you were tapping into her earlier. So I didn't know if you want to go first and kind of share what you were getting initially with Wendy.
It was just more of like what I felt with her. She just had a lot of energy. She was just very vibrant, very vocal. She was just like, when I was thinking of her, I was thinking of oh my gosh, what, the illumination deck or something like that, astrology. Oh, I can't remember, the luminous deck. And it says because she's a Taurus, it says the bombshell. She really was a bombshell. Like, her presence was strong.
Oh yeah.
And her voice, well, Tauruses also rule the voice. So her throat chakra, like speaking up for herself, speaking the truth, trying to shine light on things that were stigmatized, like I said earlier. Yeah. It's a very interesting energy. It's hard to explain.
I didn't
pull cards on it, but
yeah, I was watching some videos of hers earlier, and it was all about rebellion against what she saw were injustices. I know that during those interviews, she says people's perspective, people, they're all in the wrong place. You're worrying about this and that, but here are people living like this or experiencing or the world going through this. So a lot of her performances was to draw that attention, to release that anger, that rage, and to try to wake people up and to say, you have to have your voice. Don't be afraid to show your voice, to share your voice. So
yeah, I was feeling that about her. I didn't really read too much into her, but the energy I got from her is just very powerful woman.
And she was even interviewed by Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers had her on her show in the 80s. And Joan Rivers showed her a lot of respect too. I watched just a little bit, but and you know, we all, for like the music business and whatnot, they always focused on, women's looks. And I'm not saying that this woman, was ugly, but she was not, these stunning beauties like they try to, infiltrate into the music. Like you can't be successful with music or with fashion or with movies unless you look a certain way. And she was just, girl, next door, nothing extravagant, but yet that small frame of hers, she put everything, all that energy, it just all came, it was raw. That's the word. I knew there was a word coming up, but it was raw, it was in your face, it was her truth. And she did not, she was not afraid to speak her mind.
Yeah, I was getting that from her. She's like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think.
Yeah.
You asked for it.
Mhm. So just looking. Hi, Vivian. Thank you for joining us. And yes, mental health needs to be talked about more so people know that they are not alone. Exactly. That's very important. Okay. Oh boy. So yeah, um, right off the bat, I got the crane. Um, you know, childhood, babies, upbringing. Um, there's the tower. It wasn't. It wasn't. She wasn't raised in a healthy environment. Let's put it that way. There's the whip. There's the abuse right there. Ever since since childhood. I know the crane represents messages too, but that's the message she is sending since I was, since I was a young child. Um, Living at home was like, a tower moment. You never know when something was going to hit, and then there's, the whip to emphasize that. Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah, her life was anchored in her music. I mean, that's not only her life, but that's how she remained anchored was through the music. She was sharing things, and I got the moon. She listened to her intuition. She went by her emotions. She was bringing things out from the light. The moon sometimes represent things that are hidden. She was bringing that to the light. Her on stage performances was to waken people up, and because of that, she did. Oh, there you go. And then she had a loyal following from people because you know they knew that she was authentic. They knew she was speaking the truth, and they could sense that with her. And that's how she had such a strong following over the years with her career.
Yeah, I get like that too, because this is the world, but it's the moon behind that,
Yeah.
like unveiling the secrets. This was like part of her fate.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Her
like
life's path.
backwards and it's like shining, but like that was her fate. She was trying to bring a new perspective, the hangman, to awareness because she went through some really, really tragic, heartbreaking situations that shouldn't have happened. And I think it was a family pattern of behavior because it's talking about healing the mother line. But I think this is because she wanted to bring awareness to women's issues that were being neglected. And then I got the return in the roses too. Like with hers, I was told to use the roses deck to represent her energy. She was very tapped into her feminine sensuality, I'll say.
Oh, big time. I mean, she
But
was
this
not
was,
afraid about sexuality. She sang about it on stage. She dressed it. She, I mean, the whole front of her audience were always males. The women stayed to the back, but the men were there, and she was always saying, "Ladies, watch it. You got some hungry guys out there." And so she was very open about, you know, singing freely about sexuality, not being afraid or ashamed of it.
yeah.
Jake, Jake, we are reading on. Oh, here, let me put this up here in the banner. Let me.
And I got alchemy and fertility. Like I'm seeing, I can't even tell exactly what those are. I thought they were strawberries at first, but those might be apples too. Two cards with apples
Okay.
and cinnamon and like pine cones. Those are like earthy element too. Very earthy element. It was to create alchemy and to create change. Like she had a lot of ideas. She was a very fertile musician, very talented. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. She definitely. She's at peace. I'm getting the flowers and the queen. She is definitely at peace. She acknowledges that everybody celebrates her life and her memory and her music, and to follow your dreams. There's the stars, the water, the ship on the water. Um, no dream is impossible. Follow your dreams. Follow, whatever it is that it takes you to speak up. And these are the messages that she wants to send. We're all messengers, and she wants us to remind us that we all have a voice. We all have a message. We all have, as long as it's coming from a place of love. Oops, right there. A place of love. She goes, speak your truths out against injustice. Anything that is not of love.
And on the bottom of the deck, I have the rose thread because we had the three of, is it three pentacles? No, it's the wheel, but like the wheel of fate being tied to that red thread. And then it says the rose thread, inner call, soul led, the mystic loving courageously. It goes along with what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And like the memories, people remembering her and honoring her music still to this day.
Yeah. Wow. I'm looking into a little bit of. So yeah, her parents, being female, an official person. I'm getting, parents, especially father. I'm feeling was very stern, uh, and an early. Well, her journey began early, in life. She left home. She did leave home at 16, and I got false person. So I'm feeling that this was somebody in her family, probably, um, a father figure, her father, or a male figure. I'm feeling that it's more home because I did get the main female, which felt like a mother and a father. Um, they kind of presented a false um, presentation of, who they were, and because of that, she had to leave. She needed to change, and there was her way out, her vehicle, starting a new life. She did do what she had to, and that's one of the things that a lot of people talk about now is that um, you know if you don't have anything that you are ashamed of, people can't hold power over you. And I'm feeling that's exactly what she was feeling, because she was like, yeah, she goes, she did some porn. She was a stripper. She worked for Dunkin' Donuts. She did, regular movies. She was a singer. She was a performance artist, and all of that she helped. She did without shame, without guilt, and she held her head up high. She never lowered her head for that, and that's incredible because I don't know if I could have done that. Um, I want to read a
Yeah,
little.
too. I pulled this card. Like, she did have like a dark side. She had mental health issues. She had things that she was very angry about, obviously, like we've been talking about. But she said, don't live from a hateful place, is what I'm getting. Like, that wastes so much energy and so much time. And I was so angry and I dwelled on these things when I really could have done more for myself. So not to get stuck there is kind of what I'm getting. Build your own community. She's saying, like, I had to build my own community. Yes, I regret what I did. And maybe if I would have reached out to a community, I could have got more help. But she was a trendsetter. She was, this says fearless. I expand my comfort zone, not being afraid to go after your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Like, live
Exactly.
your dreams. Don't shy away and let things from the past hold you back, because it will just eat you up inside.
Hmm. I think this is reflecting both her mental state when she passed, and with growing up, I got message of concern. And for me, she did leave a suicide letter. She was with the same man for 20 years. She met him. His last name was Stevenson. He brought her into being the lead singer, the front woman of the Plasmatics, and they were together until the day she passed. And I just remember. I mean, this is like paralleling the whole situation. You know, there was despair growing up too, a lot of despair. Was how she was feeling towards the end of her life, because she had attempted suicide 3 times, and the third time was the one where she succeeded. Um, there was imprisonment, so I'm feeling like there was this going on at home too as well. But this is how she felt, in her mind. She was looking for a sense of freedom. She could not get away from those demons,
Yeah.
and by taking her life, she was able to move on into the distant horizon with where all the colors were, where she felt free. There's the bird flying. She was finally free to fly. And there's a video that does share what she had written on the suicide letter, but she said that she did not take this lightly, that she had done a lot of soul searching um, before doing this, and she felt she was at peace with her decision. So I think choosing her when she was going to transition was also showing is reflective of who she was in life. She took power and control of her own life. She left the home early. She forged her own way in life. She lived life by her rules, by her means, and when she was time for her, she could not, handle being. She took control of how she was going to exit as well. And so it's supposed she just wants to make sure that this is not her um, promoting suicide, but from
Yeah.
her point of view, this is something that she was okay in her soul with, that she felt she needed to do, and that hopefully now this will help open more doors for people to talk more, to get the conversation out there, so that there's more support for people with mental health.
Mhm.
We do have a question, really quick, Heather. Michelle, she has a question about mediums. Are they about to know if a spirit has been reincarnated? Some do, from what I understand. Um, do you get that sense that she has come back? That's an interesting
Um,
question.
I honestly don't think so. I think because, like you said, she was seeking enlightenment, the hermit. She was seeking, I felt like she was secluding herself because she was depressed. And like I said, she knows she should have she had a community there if she wanted to reach out, but like you said, she kind of wanted to control that. But I do feel like she's on the other side, especially seeing the individuals in the back. I feel like she found victory in her own death. And that's like literally the card of like shining on stage too. Like she wanted to. I feel like this brought some awareness. I feel like this brought some awareness, to more awareness to suicide. I know Kurt Cobain too. Like he committed suicide, if I remember right too.
That's what. That's something that I was interested in reading on, maybe at a later date, that there was another investigation going on. And I've listened to multiple podcasts. I've listened to, watched videos, and they're saying that that's the official cause of his death was suicide. But at the same time, there were information, pictures, and things from the crime scene that completely contradicted. So that's still up, and there are a lot of people still trying to get that reopened, to have his death looked into again.
Kind of what I meant by that is, I think there's certain deaths that have an impact and bring awareness to suicide. Like I think he was one because we all thought that was what the case was. With her as well, I think that brought some awareness to mental issues. People who are famous who have mental issues bring stuff to light. And then I did get like the death card on the bottom. So I just don't think she wants to come back right now.
She's probably happy was when you show that card with, the people in the back, and for me, it felt like she was a part of that crowd now of spirit guides and protectors looking after individuals now who are in the same place that she was on the stage. And
I was getting I'm victorious in death. Like I did what I needed to do.
Yeah, Jenk, I seen him too a little bit. I don't think she did either. And then there is a whole documentary, so that might be something kind of interesting read about later on, because I'm fascinated. I wasn't into. It was weird. I wasn't really into Cole or Courtney Love in my 20s, but now that I'm older, I think now I understand the music more and what it was coming from, and kind of, reconnecting. I'm doing that too with music in the 80s that I grew up listening to but never connected with. And I think as you get older or you go through different life experiences, certain musics or genres make more sense, or makes more sense. And you're more, for me, it's like an epiphany about certain songs or genres or artists and things. So it's a constant learning, or else we wouldn't be here.
Sorry, I have teenagers behind me. I hope you can't hear that. I was like, that's so loud. Maybe I should mute the mic and go tell them to be quiet. But yeah, I got like the Lovers and the Devil too right after. I felt like she felt trapped, and she just wanted to let go. Like I think she, like you said, she decided when she was done.
Yeah, she had that power her whole life, and how she controlled her life, and she decided that she chose when she was going to go as well. And we have some Jake, so really quick, Jake jumped in. Viviani, hello. Fuzzy Kiwi, you look familiar to me. I mean, not familiar. You look, well, let me back that up. See, I love Mercury retrograde. I'm saying everything backwards. Fuzzy Kiwi, you do not look familiar, but welcome and thank you for joining us. So yeah, everything started in the house. I got bad health, which I'm assuming could be the abuse. Could be abuse, allegedly. YouTube for entertainment purposes only. Occupation, bad health too from the occupation. So I'm sure, living life hard did not help the mental health, because I know a lot back
Yeah.
then people had nothing to go to handle mental health with, except for drinking and for drugs and things, to be able to just try to calm, or at least cancel out, voices or those emotions and things that they didn't know else how to cope with or to handle.
I got the Wild Rose. Like, she was the Wild Rose. She, like you're talking about, she lived to an excess. And especially when you do heavier drugs too, that takes its toll on your mental health, especially if you're having any sort of issues. It really makes it way worse.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it so you can't center your emotions and see clearly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There was expectations that she had. She was given high honor from her fans, but at the same time, I'm gonna change decks. I feel like it's like, okay, move on to another deck.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm like, okay, I need to get. I pulled out 4 or 5 decks, and I'm like, okay, I need to grab some different decks.
So I'm gonna grab.
Just gonna move.
So if there are any questions that in chat that you would like to ask us about Wendy, that Heather and I will feel would be respectful and that we could read on too, please let us know. Yeah, very biased. I agree, Jake. Yeah. She was extremely intelligent. I mean, Queen of Swords. She was intelligent. She knew how she wanted to communicate. Because I know a lot of like the interviewers and other people in the press wanted to make her look like she was this dumb blonde, screaming on a stage, no clothes on. What's the matter with this person? But that's how they wanted to portray her. But she knew exactly what she was doing. She was intelligent. She was smart, and she used her voice. There's, with swords with communication. She expressed herself. She expressed, and of course, I'm getting again more in the cards. She expressed a lot of the pain and the horrors that she had experienced growing up. These were her truths that her demons, to release on stage. And Pentacles, that's how she worked through them, was being on stage. Because from what I'm feeling, with trauma informed, you're going to have PTSD. You're going to have nightmares. You're going to have things come up when you least expect them. And for her being on stage and doing what she was doing, this was her constantly working through those memories, those feelings, those flashbacks. And it was her way of releasing. And then, of course, on the bottom again, I got the Tower. So it all led up from childhood up until, her death.
Yeah, I got the Page of Cups, and so that's talking about the childhood as well. And then Mary Magdalene, which she really was like.
Yes, perfect card.
That really just reminds me of her, and it's the Tower too. It's what catapulted her to make her be like she was.
Yeah.
It's what drove her. And I got it's Diva, Devi. It's the embodiment of all the goddesses. And then it's got a guitar, or not a guitar,
Well,
but an
it's the
instrument.
car. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And
Yep.
she really tried to heal herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like
She did.
the emotions, the feelings really did run really deep. Those wounds really did run deep.
Yeah, she actually retired from the music business and moved to Connecticut with her partner. And I didn't read for how long that they were there, but I guess they were. Well, she was into microbiotics, so when I saw these videos of her, I mean, she was so thin, but she also, from what it said, she was interested in healthy living. So I think after she had left the music business to try to heal herself, to get out of that scene, um, you know, before she passed, she left a gift for her partner of seeds for plants and trees and for growing foods, on their property. So it was her gift, for him. And I also got the magician for her. So she created her life as she chose it to. Nothing happened in her life that after she left home that she did not create herself or envision for herself.
That's funny because I pulled the Empress, and then look what I pulled again from a different deck. The Empress.
The Empress.
That's who she was. She was a Taurus too. That makes sense. And I pulled a Six of Wands from another deck. And then I pulled the Queen of Cups. Very kind, compassionate.
Yeah.
I think she felt a lot more than she let on to. So like she was an empath and she liked new things. There's a reason why she was tapped in. It's kind of what I'm getting. Like she knew things and saw things that people just didn't understand.
Yeah, and there's the Four of Pentacles. That holding, it's like that security, that home security. But for me too, it's like what I love about this is that there's like it's for when I first saw this card, it's at Four of Pentacles. I don't see any pentacles. Houses of Four of Pentacles, but you have the moon coming through. You have the room, that main room that she's in. So you have outside of the window, the room, the water, and the forest. These were her things that she surrounded herself with. That was her stability. That was her place of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the cards being a little bit darker, a little more of a gothic feel to it. But to me, that reflected how she felt. I'm feeling that she felt happier, calmer, safer, um, under the moonlight, in the woods, nearby the waters. Creativity. Beautiful.
The forest you're talking about.
Yeah, the forest right outside the window there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I
The
was like,
water
that's funny.
running
That
right
just
by.
popped out. Being surrounded by nature, natural things. Like even in this picture, she's surrounded by flowers, natural things. Like every card I've pulled, it doesn't matter what deck I get, roses and nature and flowers and just really
Fairy.
enjoying.
Knight of Wands. She just went. She went into projects and ideas, just head on, full energy, full force. Did she, think about? Yeah, she did think about some things like, should I or shouldn't. But for her, it was just like, I'm just going to forge right ahead. I don't care what anybody thinks, what anybody says. This is my self-expression. This is my creativity. This is my passion. This is what, you know, fires me up. And that's also, every card I'm pulling, I'm like, well, I can relate to her story with this one and that one. So the
Truth
Chariot.
through
Yeah,
music, her self-expression, and then
that's perfect.
finding treasures in the darkness,
Yeah,
using her darkness to express her truth.
yeah.
Wow.
The Chariot, she was in control of her own, you know, she was in control on how she directed
Mhm.
her life, on how she was going to live her life. She was in full reign. And I love the Chariot in this deck. I just got to show people. This is just awesome. The Chariot, she's actually on a flying carpet. And it's like a temperance card, but also on, a flying magic carpet. So her music was her outlet to kind of out of body. It helped her fly, it helped her move forward. It carried her, you know. her pain, her music, her dedication. I went to go say feminist, and then when I went to go say feminist, I heard I got like this don't quite say that. So I got a feeling that she may not have liked the term feminist. So
yeah, I wasn't getting.
women
I got that feeling too. I was like, she didn't like that word, but she did want to show women how to be strong and how to empower themselves, even through like the trauma. And it's funny because you're talking about the Four of Pentacles, and I pulled it with the King of Pentacles.
Yep.
And then I pulled the Nine of Wands with the Star from that deck.
Yeah. That king makes me think of her partner.
That's what I thought too.
He stayed with her, through everything.
He was her stability, is what I'm getting from that.
Yeah.
Like he was her home. That was her safety net. That's who she felt comfortable around. That's who she could really be herself with. It's not that she wasn't herself and that she wouldn't defend herself or anything like that, but she could be 100% with him because she didn't have all these cameras and things on her.
Yeah. See, this is awesome, because people now who don't know her, like Fuzzy said, I didn't know really who she was, but I'm looking at the lyrics, and wow. So that's important. That's why I wanted to do, just read on certain individuals who actually had a message, Wow, I pulled out that Knight of Wands again. Okay. Yes, we got it. You're fiery.
That energy.
She was also fiery. Yeah. Hello, Mama Bear. Hello, Serena. And Kala Lily. I don't know if I said hello to you. Let me just look up really quick to see if we missed out on any questions that anyone might have wanted to ask. What I would be interesting right now is to throw some cards and see what she feels about women in music now. How does she feel that, position of women in music now as compared to, her time?
Let's see.
For some reason, Cardi B jumped in my mind. I'm like, okay, but I would understand that, because, even though I don't particularly like all of, Cardi B's music, she is in her own power. She speaks her truth. She owns her sexuality, exactly like the same way that, Wendy owned hers. I can see the correlation why she would like. Sorry if anybody heard that. That was my cat. He's deciding to play right now.
Yeah, I got the first card that popped out was the King of Wands, which is action oriented. Go for it. Basically, go for it. If that's your dream, you go for it. And then I got the Six of Wands. So be victorious in whatever you decide to do, and create your own stability. Don't wait on anybody. Don't depend on anybody. Don't let anybody tell you how you should or shouldn't do it.
Oh, that's interesting. I asked her about, and I think I know why I got these cards, because I am more aware now because of other channels and readers about the dark side of the industry, movies, music, and all that. And I think that she came through to let me know that, yeah, here, Three of Swords. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of cruelty. It'll eat you if you're not careful. Four of Wands, making sure that these young women, rest, they meditate, they stay focused on what it is that's going on around them, what people are saying around them, what they're telling them what to do with their careers. to make sure that,
Yeah.
you don't get overworked. Don't, um, to rest. You need to rest. You need to listen to your body. Take good care of your body. Take good care of your mental health, because especially with the mental health, because then the last card I got again was the Ten of Swords, which is just absolute, to me, destruction. You know, mental just mental collapse, life collapse. So that's her warning for, the women
Yeah.
in.
I was getting with the colleague, like, make sure you have a good team around you.
Mhm.
Make sure you have a good support system of people that can look out for you and have your back. Like, of course, like, there is, like, a good side to it, but also, like, you need to make sure that you're protecting yourself. Like you were saying, to honor yourself, honor your body, make sure you have a good team who actually promotes good things in your life, is the
Yeah,
best way I can phrase it. Then I got Durga, strength, life force, compassion, feminine power, stands in her full grace and truth. Be strong, honor your strength. So I pulled the strength card twice. Make sure you have good people around you, strong people, set strong boundaries of what you
definitely
will
the
and will not
boundaries.
do.
Because nowadays a lot of people want you to sell your name, your music, who you are, your life basically, into perpetuity. And a lot of people don't realize what that means. It's that anything with your face, your music, whatever, somebody owns you. So you need to make sure that nobody owns you. That, you stay, true to yourself, and you hold on to, your name and your life. I mean, it can be literally life and death, is what I'm feeling. Just take that power. Don't let people take that power away from you. Oh, we got a question here to ask her. What does she think of the artist Punk, or are you meaning Pink? Because I can see Pink, definitely. So is that what you mean, Amy? So I don't know of an artist named Punk, but I do know Pink. Oh yeah, Pink's another one that's got the same attitude. You
Mm-hmm.
know, even after her first album, they wanted her, to make, another R&B album, and she was like, "No, this is not what I want to do." But this one sold all these started with new records. Well, no, this is my vision of my music, and I want to stick with it. And, the third album, the second album did really great. That was Pink's biggest album. And then they're like, okay, well, let's keep it with this and let's do another one like this. And she's like, no, I need to evolve my music. And even though her third one didn't do as well as the, first two, she just kept her vision of her music and what she wanted to say. And because she's very, she's for PETA, against animal abuse. She's just amazing. She's there for veterans. Her dad was a veteran, um, for mental health. And, she's saying against, politicians, especially against George Bush. So I can definitely see that, she would
Mm.
approve of Pink, most definitely.
Yeah, the first thing, if it was about Pink, I don't know the cards that came out, but I got fascinated. I thoroughly explore my interests. Like, I think she likes that about her, about Pink, if that's the question. Yearning, I fulfill
Yeah.
my heart's desires. I feel like through this, Pink is fulfilling her heart's desires.
Hmm.
And I think she's really proud of the work that she's doing because, like you said, she is a humanitarian and does a lot of social issues, it sounds like. And it
Animal
says,
rights, social, yes.
perplex, I will figure it out. But that's totally like the colorful, the vibrant energy
Beautiful.
coming
I
out,
love that.
Mhm.
personality. And that's very Pink too. And then I got progress. I
Oh,
think,
there you go. Progress.
and then I
That's it
got
right there.
manipulated. I will not be controlled.
I love that deck. What is that deck?
This is the Winter's Embrace and the uh, Feelings in Bloom from V Love and Crystal on Etsy.
Very sweet. I like
But
those.
yeah.
I like those cards that have just that straight message on it.
Mm-hmm. It's just
Well, I
very
love this card right
once.
here. You know, Seven of Swords. You know, up here we're thinking, well, that has to do, you know, with mental. But no, this is her basically saying, "Here I am. Come get me. You don't like me. You take me as I am. You leave everything behind." She was just no holds barred. Um, she defended everything that she did, and she was not afraid to show it. And I think that's what she likes too about Pink, is that was it
I
creative?
was just talking about that.
I write on my own story. You know, I just love that card because it's like, come at me, I dare you. I love
Yeah.
that. That's the energy I get from that card. And then I got the Death card, which for me is total transformation. Um, she sees Pink as being one of those individuals who's going to be changing and bringing in aspects of music into a new direction. And then I got the King of Wands too, but this card always kind of disturbs me a little bit because of the vampire, um, like the vampiric, because he's got, you know, the blood dripping on the collar. So I think for me, this card represents just be careful of those who
Mm-hmm.
would want to suck your energy, suck your life dry, take your joy away, you know, and to you know, and I don't think she's, you know, we have anything to worry about with Pink with that. I mean, she's
This is
mom. She's
disappointed. And the color scheme with the other cards you pulled.
yeah.
I don't need it anyway. Like, don't take on things you don't need. And then forgiving, I leave the past behind and I move forward.
Yeah,
That's like she's saying she's left
exactly.
the
That's what
past
that
behind.
is. Yeah.
I've let it go. I don't want to be remembered for that. I want to be remembered for what I was trying to relay, the message I was trying to relay in my
Yeah,
life.
yeah, Manasa. I'm using the Healing Light Lenormand deck, and I am using the Kipper deck by Chiro Marchetti. And the other deck that Heather and I are both using is the Tarot de la Nuit deck. Beautiful images, a little bit more on the gothic side, a little bit of the darker side, but not necessarily dark energy, but it helps connect when you have to read on, um, for me personally, individuals or situations or experiences that you have to kind of dig a little bit deeper with. You know, that's a little bit more raw, a little bit more emotional. And we need that for, you know, because if we don't have, you know, the light, we don't have the dark.
Wouldn't know what
I
light was without the dark. That's how you understand the light.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other. And Jake is curious as to know, what does Wendy think of Courtney Love?
Courtney Love.
Hmm.
Let's see.
I don't think people give Wendy O Williams enough credit for the path that she has blazed for women in that type of musical genre. Um, I mean, up till then, you know, you had the darling kind of like babes, you know, like with Blondie and all of them. But then, as you know, after she had, up until the point where she had passed, there was a big shift and change, and we had bands like L7. You know, we had oh, her name was something Kitten, and she was this heavy metal, like, I can't even describe. She loved doing symphony, like Beethoven music, on thrash guitar. And you know, she screamed and she did things on stage. And so I think a lot, if you look into these certain female artists, even male artists, but specifically for female artists who have that kind of raw energy, that power, who's not going so much for, you know, the pretty, the polished, look, image. I bet you a lot of them will find them mentioning Wendy, in their in those who have inspired them in the past. Vixen, yes, Amy. Oh, Amy, I loved Vixen. Um, they were very polished. They were very pretty, but I liked their music. But more gritty. That's the word. She was more for gritty and raw and get down in the dirt kind of thing. I mean, you did not want to meet. I don't think this woman in an alley. I mean, she had that much, pow, to her that, yeah, trust me, I would not want to
Okay.
mess with this woman.
Do we want to do what does she think on Courtney Love?
Uh,
I feel like she's been judged way too harshly. I think she doesn't get enough credit for her artistry. And I believe you and Maya were talking about how she's helped a lot of bands and stuff.
mm-hmm.
And so she doesn't get that credit. And she's defined by the relationship with the Two of Cups to Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
And through that, I think she's got some really bad flashback because I got the Four of Wands right after that because of that marriage. She's been harshly judged as well. And people have really, it's the Page of Pentacles. So I feel like people who are immature have made some really horrible comments, but I believe that she is very strong because I have Athena, which
Mm-hmm.
is the goddess of wisdom. I think Courtney Love knows a lot more than people even can understand, and she has seen the dark side. She has seen the light side because we
Mm-hmm.
have Phosphorone, the goddess of the underworld, who was married to was it Hades,
Hades.
I
Yeah.
believe.
Persephone. Yeah.
So the light and the dark aspect, I think she's a lot more brilliant than people give her credit for.
Yep. I
And then I
got the
have the
star.
emperor on the bottom. So I got two emperors.
There you go. The strength. The
Mm-hmm.
authority. Most.
Mm-hmm.
Male. Um, Now, I think I kind of know too a little bit with that because a lot of people keep saying that, Courtney wouldn't have been where she was if it hadn't been for, being with Kurt and with being
Mm-hmm.
with the guys, other band members, especially when she was with them, like Billy Corgan, from Smashing Pumpkins. And they're trying to use her sexuality and maybe I'm sure Courtney's got regrets, about the past and stuff, and she probably would change things if she could, do things differently. But the same fact that, it's okay for the men to have all of this, and they're, exonerated for it. But
The
if a
stigma.
woman is it, it's, oh, you just got you're not talented, you just got to fame because of the men, this. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really like, I got the star. She feels that she is a true star. She followed her dreams. She left her situation, very similar to Wendy. She left at a very young age, left home. And I do believe allegedly that there was, abuse, as well. I don't know necessarily about SA, but at least I know there was a real butting of heads in the household, with the parents. And Four Swords for me, the rest again. She need. I think what this is saying is the past needs to be put to rest. You know, she's in her 50s now, going on 60. All this happened in 20s, 30s. We have to let the past go. She is a star. This is the past. Let it go. And she is, in her eyes, a queen in charge of her own garden. She's got the lock, and she's standing at that gate. And she's saying, "This is my garden. This is what I've created. This is what I've earned. And you're not going to come in, and unless I say you are worthy of coming in." I mean, she built her music, her um, legacy with
Mm-hmm.
her own music and her own band, and it had nothing to do with anybody else.
Exactly. I'm getting that too with this is expression. Like this was her expression, and she has nothing to feel guilty about. And even though she doesn't know fully where her next chapter is unwritten, she gets to decide, and she shouldn't feel any pressure from anybody.
So with that first card that you came out with at the beginning, where again you had that group of people behind, and then that person,
Mm-hmm.
up front, I feel like again she's a part of that group, and they're looking out for the women like Courtney that we're reading on, like Pink. They're there to support them on that other side, and just I keep saying the word support. I can't. There's another word.
That's funny.
Encouraging,
Outlook.
empowering.
It says outlook, and it's looking outwards. Like you were talking about, they're looking out for these female artists.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I got.
Outlook, yeah. And then I also got the Heen Man. Well, in this one here, it's the Heen Woman. I don't know why they didn't put woman on there. It's not man, because it's definitely. So it's about
Oh
different
yeah.
perspective. The women, we're hung, for this, but you're just looking at their life, at the situation from a different perspective. It may not be your perspective or one that you approve of, but it was their life choice. This was their path, that they chose.
Oh my gosh, why do I keep getting like 1,000 cards that want to come out? They just keep going everywhere.
Yeah, Jake, no one's perfect. I mean, if we were perfect, we wouldn't be here, on this planet. We're here to move through different experiences so that we can develop our experience and our life lessons. What does that say? Envious.
It says envious. My qualities are beyond compare. Like these women really stood out. Like they really stood out. They're in seeing the snowflake, like how unique and individual snowflakes are. And then I got snow in this snowflakes mountains. They were able to overcome a lot. They're able to overcome a lot of obstacles, and it felt like a lot of pressure and overloading these female artists as well, and throwing temptations in front of their face and then calling them mean names.
Kala Lily just posted something a little interesting. I didn't know that. This is something new to me. It always bugged me that Courtney Love let her dogs mess on her famous and fabulous fashion collection. Well, I think it was a statement. Their clothes, their money, it's material. If the dog, I mean, that could be her statement. I can see her doing that just to make a statement, just to be, in somebody's face, because everybody knows that she was known for
An
being fitness.
expression
Yeah,
again.
Expression. Yeah.
It was just an expression that money can buy you so many things, but even money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of that too is just it's material stuff, and you got to remember too, she had problems with drug addiction, and so a lot of that time too, that was probably being affected with her use too. And I mean, I'm sure even though she did sleep around on Kurt and stuff, but I still feel that she loved him. It's weird how we're going into Courtney Love now from Wendy O Williams, but there was love there. And to already have an addiction issue, you have a child, and you're a mother and you're being thrown into that. And I believe there was possibly postpartum depression in there too, especially with the drug use and the depression. I think Courtney might have talked about previously, and YouTube for just entertainment purposes only. But yeah, I think Courtney would be a really cool read at a later time. I'm just happy that she's still with us.
Yeah.
because
Like you
we,
said,
you
she's
know,
trying to like
I
change her
thought we
life
were
and
going to lose. Yeah.
move
Because I
away
would
from
have done that.
all that stuff. And she's trying to move away from her past. And
Yeah.
like
And
nobody's perfect. We all made mistakes when we were young and did stupid stuff. So
look who's
it's
here,
like,
Maija.
hi,
Maija.
Maija.
Here, let me put the copied on here. Let me post that. Would still love for you to join us. I mean, we continue to move forward. Now, Maija was the one who wanted us to read on Wendy. And I'm really glad Maija did, because I learned some things about Wendy that I didn't know about either. So I found it very fascinating, what I have learned. So the link is right there. There she is. She's here.
I gotta change my camera setting. Hang on, guys. It's the
You're
wrong
green.
one. I know. There you go. There's a little bit better. Oh, all right. Let me shut.
You're dragging just a little.
There. Is that better?
Yes.
All right. There we go. I've been outside today.
It was beautiful here. It was
Yes.
gorgeous. So
you can see I'm now a different color. So yes, I was outside, and then I was like, I came in, I was like, I saw this was on. I was like, oh, yeah. And it's like, fuck it, I don't care how I look. I got to get on here.
oh, please. We've already,
Anyway, so
dropped a couple.
all right.
Should we show her the card I pulled for
Please.
her?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene.
I was working on that today. I had a heck of a time with Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, the volume kept disappearing. You'd be talking, all of a sudden you would go quiet, you go silent, and then I'm like, wait a minute. So I didn't know if you were going to reload the video or not.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad. My video is probably still uploading that I started at 10.
It was a nightmare. I thought I had everything on, and it was just like, no.
Does this work better? Is this better for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
So once Maija gets all settled, because we chose to read on Wendy O Williams because Maija loves her.
Yeah,
there we go. Go ahead and tell us why you love her so much and why you picked her.
I love her because she was one of the first real badass women that I saw taking the stage, grabbing it by the crotch, so to speak, and
literally
putting black electrical tape over her nipples. And I thought that was just exciting. And going out there with a chainsaw and, cutting, that part of it was also, unfortunately, part of after that kind of value wore off of her act, she couldn't continue to get the interest, and unfortunately it led her down a pretty dark path.
Yeah, I read up just a little bit, and her first attempt was pretty harsh. But what I loved about her story that I shared with Heather and everybody in chat is that she was with the same partner for 20 years and he never left her side.
Yeah.
And even at the end, she had when she knew that he would find her, she had it away so that it would not add to the trauma of finding her.
I'm grateful for that because it really made me sad.
She loved him that much,
Yeah, she had a heck of a time. Of a time. Very hard life. Hard on herself, I believe.
Mm-hmm. We didn't read too much because we kind of wanted to keep it like a cold read, but I did see that she left at 16, and with her choices to survive in life after that point, a lot of it felt like she was leaving a home of domestic abuse, SA, and that kind of. And I make sure to, let YouTube know this is alleged, but it could very well be out there. I just didn't want to read too much, and I knew that you have more of a understanding of her history and might be able to validate some of that for Heather and I, what we picked up.
Well, I don't know as much about her childhood. I have to say, I've not delved into that. I just know a bit more about what happened, about her stage presence, and
Gotcha.
yeah, but I don't really know that much about, and I would like to know more about what her life was like growing up. And she strikes me as somebody that was, very abused. And I think struggling with mental illness.
Oh my goodness, yes. And we were talking in the beginning. I mean, it's better. I mean, we're still losing people now to mental illness. However, back in her day, they didn't have DBT or CBT. They didn't have the medications or the understanding. And so for a lot of these artists, musicians, performers, anybody, for them to be able to cope with bipolar or with schizophrenia or any other mental health depression, the only way they knew how to handle it was through the use, alcohol or drugs or other substances.
Yeah,
And
self-medicating.
it's come a long way. And I know she's very pleased with it, but the message still needs to get out there that, um, there needs to be more focus.
I think part of the problem too is the whole entertainment industry really takes advantage of very sensitive, creative people and makes money on them hand over fist, and then throws them to the wayside. They use them up, they work them to death, and a lot of them have to tour crazy numbers of months out of the year just to make money to pay the bills and feed their families. So
Yeah. Heather and I both pulled the four of swords during this, and she's saying they worked you to death. These, because we're saying, well, does she have any messages for the new musicians, especially the young women? And they're like, you have to rest. You got to focus on your health, your mental health, meditate, watch what you're eating, take good care of yourself, because otherwise,
touring is very hard on the body. And if you're using drugs, it's just not going to end well. We've seen that. I like that Calla Lily says, Mercury seems like a nice, small, adaptable planet. Then it goes retrograde, and it's not such a nice planet anymore.
Here, let me see if I can put that. Yeah.
Yeah, this was the card I kept pulling for too, Overloaded. It's like basically that's what you guys were talking about, and I kept pulling it. Because it is. That's why I said you got to have a strong team, people who can look out for you. You got to have each other's backs, and if you're going to do anything like that.
There she is. There's our girl.
So there's another picture I wanted to bring up, and the first, because I was telling Heather in the beginning, when I was waiting for us to come on, I'm flipping through the pictures, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of badass. And then there was one picture where it took me by surprise because I didn't see any of them. And she was like, that's the one that you're going to show first. And it was, where did it go? It's right here. I had it a little while ago. And it was a picture of her actually smiling.
Oh, wow.
And now I can't find a picture now.
Come on, Wendy. Don't hide the picture. Don't be naughty.
There we go. Death to Techno Pop.
Oh, I loved her.
Here, let me.
She had the best. She had the best.
Here, just
mohawk.
really quick, everybody.
Yeah, look at that badass mohawk.
I'm trying to get the reflection off because we could see it earlier. Damn it. But she's got a big smile on her face. Just absolutely, like they caught her in a moment of just a bliss. And there's like no other pictures except that one with her, that showing her that happy, Yeah. And that's a shame.
It is.
It is. And Maija, did you know, and I didn't know, in, I think it was 1985, they said, or 84, she was actually nominated for a Grammy award for female vocal. And that kind of took me by surprise, because when I watched the old videos, I could really understand sometimes what she was,
what she was, with the whole, it really was more like theater.
Yeah, but she had the respect of all the male. Lemmy from Motorhead loved her and did a dedication to her. All the guys up in the front, they were just, I'm like, where's the women? No, they were in the back. All the guys were in the front. Well, I can kind of understand why, but at the same time,
she had a great figure.
Yeah, everything was hanging out, but still, I think it was because she was just, I think it was more just of her energy and her power, and this bra's got guts getting up there and doing this. And I think that gave her extra cred, because of that.
That's right, Fuzzy Kiwi. When a show was a show. Yeah. And it was less on all the lighting and things like that. It was more about, a little bit more about what the act was doing. Now we got shows that are, you got a lot going on all at once, lights and strobes and fireworks
and lip syncing.
And lip syncing with some. Yeah. Although I haven't been to any that I was aware where lip syncing was going on.
Well, I haven't been to a regular concert in years, but like a lot of the young women, Britney and all of them, a lot of times they had to do lip syncing and stuff because of the dances of this, of that. And it's just like, but yet when I look at it and go, but what about Madonna? I mean, she had some dub over, but when she was dancing and everything, you could hear her catching her breath. She still did it. So yeah. She carried on that theatrics forward too with that.
Lady Gaga does it for real.
Oh my God, yes.
She's got the chops. And I went to a concert when she first started and came out. When my oldest wanted to go to the show, and so I went with her. And I really didn't know what to expect because I only knew at the time a couple of songs by her. But whoa. This lady is multi-talented, and people should not judge a book. Very bad to do that. I found that out.
Yeah. So yeah, I that's amazing that you got to see Lady Gaga. That's just.
Yeah, that was really good. And now I don't want to go to the big shows. I don't like being around the big crowds. It makes me nervous. It always has, but now it's to a point where I don't.
There's too many fools out there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Doing stupid things. Yeah.
Exactly. Like just right before I got on here, I come in and I changed because I'd been outside, and I see about the shooting, and it's just like that. Just like winded me.
There's another one
in Texas.
I just saw it too.
There's 18 elementary school children killed, and
18.
It's up to 18. And that's why I have to be honest. It was I was crying. I don't look very nice right now. Don't really care.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
But I saw it, and it just took me back. And it's like I did not want to see that. I'm so sick of it. I haven't been able to watch the news.
I mean, Sandy Hook was bad enough, but now another. And I found out over the weekend that the Buffalo shooter that came here, his next plan was to hit the elementary school and the middle school. And I had my niece. I didn't know this. My niece and nephew went to that school. That could have been my niece and nephew.
Oh my God.
So this is why I'm at the point where it's like, what's the point?
I hear you.
I can't take it anymore.
No, I can't. In my heart, it really, it's just like today. That's why I went outside today. But boy, I didn't expect to come back in here. Yeah, Pink sings for real too. She's got the chops. She's a great entertainer.
Yeah, someone asked for us to see what, I think it was Amy asked us to ask Wendy what she thought of Pink, and of course another trailblazer. There's so many of them,
and there's some new bands now. I've been posting up a lot about an Australian band that I really like. That's post-punk, really borrows a lot from the 70s. The Amel and the Sniffers. They're very good, and she's got a very similar energy to Wendy. She is like balls to the wall. She goes out there, and she is just. I like her movements. She's just like, I like that though.
What do you think of the Reckless?
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Okay.
But I heard some of it, and I wanted to like it. It may have just been the one song, and I understand I might have to come back and listen to it again. But it seemed too polished for me. But I'm a little bit older, so it's like, was it Taylor Momsen or something? Isn't that her name? Pretty Reckless, that she's doing that.
I'm not sure. I just remember a few years back, I was just looking for something new, something fresh to listen to.
Yeah, I gave it a shot.
Rock.
Yeah, I gave it a shot, and I just it didn't do anything for me.
There's a couple songs, but then after a while, it was just kind of like, okay,
yeah,
nothing that really.
I don't know who's like producing it, but I think she's got a good voice. But I think they're making her sound like everybody else.
That's the problem nowadays. There's no individuality, and that's why Wendy likes and supports, like Pink and Lady Gaga and who else? Courtney Love. Because they were women who lived life by their rules, and they weren't going to be shamed by anybody or anything, and
yeah. And that was she was very, very forthright type of woman.
And she was on Joan Rivers' show. Did you know that?
I vaguely remember.
I watched a little bit because the video
I'll have to watch
really
it after
bad. And I'm just like, oh my God, she was on Joan. And Joan treated her with respect, but it was hysterical. When she sat down and the other two people were like,
scooting over.
Sit next to her. Oh my God, that was funny. You guys are all headbangers disguised as mild-mannered tarot readers.
Oh, you saw through our facade. I'm wearing my taco shirt. It was clean, and it was laying next to me. So it was just like, I took off my top and was like, yeah, I got to get my clothes on, get going here.
I think the last concert I went to was Korn, and I think it's Stain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my youngest daughter really likes Korn. And I've not seen them. Do you? I've not. I'd love to go see them. I'm convinced.
They're pretty interesting.
One of my dreams still, and I've been listening to her now since it'll be 20 years. Oh my God, 20 years next year. Amy Lee with Evanescence. I've always loved her voice.
She has a beautiful voice.
Look, and just certain songs, when you just hear those opening keys, even thinking about it, I get goose flesh on my arms. And
respect to her.
Yeah. Yeah, she had that look, that style, and a lot of people did not want to play her after that, couple videos, because she didn't fit in, with the rest.
True. Like, I like all kinds of music, but
we got some Radiohead in here.
Yeah, I like Radiohead. I like all kinds of music. Like I said, I love Typo Negative. I love
it's the first song I heard by them?
Silvertomb. When?
Christian Woman.
Uh-oh. I
was like, oh, I like this.
I like this.
But I did see them in concert.
Oh, you did?
When they toured during the summer, it was Alice Cooper was the main one. And then they had Dokken. I went specifically to see Slaughter because I loved, Slaughter, Mark Slaughter. They had Typo Negative was the first band to play. And
they
there
did
was
openings. Yeah.
Nobody really came to see them. And to be honest, their sound, I don't know if it was just the sound system that day at Darien.
They didn't have as much. Yeah. They were a smaller band, and half the time.
But still, it was cool. I got to see all these bands, and I can tell people about it. Oh, yeah, back in the day when I was in my...
Yeah, Shunny.
God, who else was in there?
I hope to
Lawrence.
I don't... Yeah, I didn't... I wasn't big on hair metal. Before. That came after. It was kind of like it was right behind in your class range when they started getting real popular, the hair metal bands. I remember that because I couldn't. It's like all of a sudden that was the scene, hair metal, and yeah. What were you gonna say, Heather Campbell?
Just thinking about like the 80s bands with the hair. And my husband has a picture, I think it's Iggy Pop.
Oh, I love Iggy Pop.
And he loves Bowie, so it's everywhere in my house.
Iggy Pop. He is wonderful. I've seen him. I saw him more recently, in the last, probably within the last 3-4 years. And I can't believe that man is still going, but his body is all crippled up from.
Well, he was really cruel to it. That I always felt
Yeah,
that.
he
I would
threw
look at some of these
himself all over the
people,
place.
and I'm like, why are they doing that to themselves? You know, I thought, is
Art.
there another way of expressing, you know, without actually hurting the physical body? But, you know, that was his thing. That's his message, you know?
Yeah, art.
It's
What does
so
she
funny.
think? What does Amy's Smiling Love and Light Oracle says? What does she think of Jessie J? I don't know who Jessie J is. Do you guys know who Jessie J is?
I think Jessie J is a pop icon right now. Amy, let me know. I'm pretty sure. She came out around the same time as Demi Lovato. The other young lady, Serena Gomez.
Oh yeah,
They were all in that succession.
that's a lot of pop.
And what
You know,
was her name?
I like some of that music, and then there's some.
Yeah, I
where
do
it's
too.
just like, I got to turn it off. You know, just.
It depends
But
on my
everybody
mood.
sounds a lot like each other these days, though, and that's why
Yeah, it gets
you know,
boring. It's just like, what band is this? They all sound like. So, I mean, not all of them, but many of them. I mean, you can find there's good ones out there. You really can find them. What she's giving me is actually the Tower and the Ace of Swords. So she's talking about the business taking a dive and being rebuilt, which is something I've always wanted because I've always thought it's very destructive. It's very toxic. So she's showing me the breakdown of the industry, and it really has been anyway. But I think that they're going to have to change something with touring because there's too many deaths that it leads to. It's too hard on people to do that. That's a proven way that a lot of people end up relapsing if they've been clean. If all they got to do is go on tour.
They got the child card, the male card, and then I got the cross of suffering with the blood coming down on it. So a lot of these young women are being taken advantage of at a young age. You know, we all know the stories that are slowly coming out about Britney and Christina Aguilera and all of them, and it's just it can be very vicious, and they're the money ticket, and a lot of times
that's right.
And the family, you know, look what
and
they
it
did
becomes
to Britney all these years. You know?
It becomes like Britney becomes a fucking, pardon my language, corporation, and she is now responsible for people feeding their families. You know, because she's a brand. You know, but she's exhausted. And they do things, they end up, like she said, she ends up doing things, and a lot of these artists end up doing things when they're not, their heart is not in it. They get sick, they blow up, and then the media loves to cover their meltdown. It's really ugly.
They build them up, and then they love to just kick them down.
Yeah.
So then too, they take their passion, they take like their something that they want to bring from their heart, like their expression.
Yeah.
It's something they love, something that like, and use that to manipulate them and control them. And then they have to end up, like you said, blow up and defend themselves.
Yeah, they
from
look crazy.
These honestly outdated beliefs.
Yes, it is an outdated model.
The world needs to change. The world needs to see it. Like they need to open their eyes and see it. Like it's just wrong. Like the girl looks so young in that. That girl looks so young. Like you're talking about Britney Spears.
Yeah, and it looks like Christina Aguilera too.
You actually know who that looks like if you go and look at pictures. Emma Emma Bunton from the Spice Girls when they first started out. That looks just like her. Because I love the Spice Girls. I'll admit it right here.
They were
I
fun.
love pop music too. Spice Girls.
Yeah, I like all kinds. It just depends on
But
my mood.
That's the
But I'm a
girl.
metal
That's
girl.
what she looks like. Mm-hmm.
I guess
And then-
I'm gonna probably have to go. My daughter's friends here, and I have to get home by 8. I didn't know how long we were gonna be on, but I got dinner on too, so I have to go. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you.
I love you guys, and I will see you later.
Too.
Bye.
Have a beautiful night, guys.
You too.
No problem. Yeah, I'm sorry that I was not on here sooner. I don't know where my head has been.
You were getting some sun. You needed the sun.
I did.
We listened to what our bodies tell us to do.
I had to. It was just like I tried to stay up the other night to film the thing. I fell asleep, and I said I woke up and the lights were all on. I had everything set up to film, and I was asleep.
I know when I saw it said Mary Magdalene, I said, "Oh yeah, I gotta watch this one."
Yeah, and it was really good. And then the problems. I don't know. I'll have to. Was it really bad? Because
at one point I didn't know if you said you were going to, because you were coming in and out, and I said, "Well, I'm just going to stop," and because I had stuff I had to do.
Got it.
So,
I'll have to play
I'll check back later to see if she rebooted it, but definitely it was so weird that you said Mary Magdalene because was it later on today? Yeah, there's a series coming out, and
oh, that's weird.
It's on Netflix about how they do movies about Jesus's life, but this is a series, and they're interpreting what occurred along the way.
That would be interesting.
It was they showed very little of the women, a lot of the men, and I'm thinking already this is out of balance.
Yeah.
And
that's what Mary Magdalene's message was that basically the apostles betrayed her, and they betrayed the other Mary and Martha, and they relegated them to the dust.
And
but
that doesn't sit right with me.
I know. When I was reading that today, maybe that's why I was like, had to do it so many times. I don't know. I'll have to check the sound on it again, but I struggled to get the sound to work. I don't know what was going on.
I know that was weird because every time you do your recordings, they're loud and clear.
Yeah. I usually got my, things lined up, and it's like, I could not get it to, do the right thing.
This doesn't, oh no, really? Steven Tyler relapsed again.
Oh no. I'm very sorry about that.
Well, there's another person that keeps work. They work themselves to death. I mean,
yeah.
The other guy, he had a heart attack a couple of years ago. Steve Perry.
No, yeah, thank you. I just pictured him though. What's the other guy?
His name is Perry. Joe Perry.
Joe
had a heart attack. He was touring with the Hollywood Vampires, and they came to Niagara Falls, and I wish I could have seen them. I was like Johnny Depp up there playing a guitar. Oh my god,
that would have been
cool.
But
we couldn't do it. But yeah, not soon after, Joe had the heart attack, and now I think they're just running themselves into the ground, still trying to, I don't know.
Life's too short. I would hope that they would take some time to be with their families now. Unless they've got bills, I don't know why you would want to be. Although, with COVID, the last 3 years, I think a lot of these people now are in probably financial binds, some of them.
Yeah. But they put something out. It's like a live record every other year.
Oh, Aerosmith?
Yeah. I mean, Shan tries to collect them all because he likes Aerosmith.
It's amazing that Steve still sounds as good as he does.
Yeah, and a lot of guys haven't been able to keep their voices. Steven Tyler, Rob Halford, and the dude from Queensryche.
I remember Queensryche, but I don't remember the names of the dudes.
I mean, his voice is not bad. Jeff something. Oh, I saw them like twice in concert. And
you're gonna remember it after we get off.
Afterwards. But yeah, not too many of them keep, keep their voices. But what I did know about Jessie that Amy wanted to point out is that she speaks out for mental health issues. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, that is good. And there's more of them doing so. And one of the foundations that I give to is Music Cares. I'm sorry, Music Cares. They provide a lot of musicians that end up relapsing and don't have enough money for therapy and care. They end up helping a lot of them with that. And it's something that I give regularly to, because I just think the way this industry is, here we all enjoy this music so much.
And the movies too.
Yes. But these entertainers are worn thin and often die prematurely because of the lifestyle that they're forced to try to keep up with.
Like Brittany Murphy and Amanda Bynes and all of them. You know, Demi Lovato, they keep, having to go into the hospital because they become anorexic or they start abusing alcohol and the drugs because they just can't keep up.
No,
and no way of.
It's a horrible and kind of insidious cycle that you're never enough. Because there's always somebody younger, always somebody prettier coming on there, and it's unfortunate that Hollywood does not appreciate women of age. They want them all like me to like go and get this all removed. Well, I don't have the money and I don't want to look like that. So
you want to look like you,
I want to look like me.
The pictures I see lately of Madonna.
Oh my God,
what
girl.
she did to her face. It's just like, oh girl, I know you're trying to keep your youth and you want to be relevant still and everything, but
it's
at least try to look like yourself.
She's got that alien face, where they get that really weird pointed chin and
then that puffiness,
and the high, the cheekbone thing.
At least the one thing with Stevie Nicks, she said that she was never going to ever have surgery or Botox because she said the worst thing for her would be someone coming up to her and saying, hey, you know what? You kind of look like Stevie Nicks because of, and so whenever you see pictures, she'll have makeup done and, maybe like a little injection in the lip to plump up the lips or something for a video or whatever. But she refuses to have any type of surgery done on her face. She says, glad. This is me. Take me as I am.
Yeah, that she's another one that I love. And the Wilson sisters, Anne and
Nancy
Wilson. Yes, from Washington
My
State.
favorite album by them.
Barracuda.
Enough credit is the Back in Black.
Black
to Black album that came out in '93.
Ooh.
I was in Arizona when that came out, and it had the song that had to do with returning to Avalon and stuff, but that was badass. I really love that album. Very like just back to that, and she still has that voice and she never lost it. And she suffered greatly too because of her weight. They kept, making, comment about her weight and everything. And now she's just like, screw it. This is me.
Yeah. They did. They and it's really not what's important. But again, because she's a front woman, they're horrible on front people. Don't you dare gain any weight, and you better look like you're.
Unless you're a male.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
Well, they still get it, but not as bad.
Yeah,
not as bad as the women do. The women really get dragged.
I love that Stevie. She's my spirit animal.
Yeah, Barracuda on guitar is nuts. I friggin' love that.
Jake, you and I agree. That's my favorite one too. I mean, Stevie was pretty bad at that point with the addiction, and she didn't have as many songs and stuff on it, but that was an excellent album. I like that one. Yeah, and Barracuda. Oh my God. And then did you see that when they did the honors for Led Zeppelin and they did Stairway to Heaven, Robert Plant was crying.
Yes. And then I started crying because I'm just going to cry. That's all I do is cry.
Yes. Rock stars don't cry. There's no crying in rock and roll.
No, there's sobbing. Better stop sobbing now.
Yeah. But yeah, Chrissy a lot of the older ladies, you don't hear Chrissy Hynde. you know, you don't hear about her anymore, and she's still out there kicking it. You know.
Yeah, she's a great. I saw her play. I realized just now that I saw her play back in the late '80s in the Bay Area here, and
Yeah.
she was another woman entertainer that just floored me and really excited me with her energy and her skill with the guitar and singing and being a very strong presence, stage presence.
Yeah.
You know,
When I was a young girl, and one of the first songs I skated to, or one of the favorite ones, was Brass in Pocket.
oh yes. Do you remember the video with her? She had her hair all ratted up,
Yeah,
and
she was a
in
waitress.
the waitress. I
Yeah,
loved
she's like, this
that.
is weird.
I
Special.
And I was mesmerized by the black eyeliner that's all in the pale skin, and then she had that
Mm-hmm.
you know
That was her signature, was that black eyeliner. Sometimes I was like, come on, do it a little better, but that was what she stuck with. And you know who I would love to see still one of these days perform is Joan Jett.
I've seen her. I've met her. She is very good.
You've met her.
Still. Yes, and she is a very real person. She is real. She is funny. She's very amicable. And my husband recently, you may have heard that there was a little tiff between her and Ted Nugent. Yes.
Oh, I heard something. Well, the headline, I didn't click on it yet because I wanted to go look, but I think he did something SA inappropriate, kind of like borderline. That's
no, it wasn't about that.
Okay.
But this was she got some kind of recognition from, I don't know, rock, whatever. And he got his panties in a bunch and had to protest that how dare Joan Jett be basically give an accolade for her work when basically like she wasn't doing anything relevant.
Oh, and like he should
that.
Talk.
Yeah, and she said her response was brilliant. And she said, "Well, that's really interesting coming from a man that shit his pants to avoid going to Vietnam." And she said, he did. And she said, the problem for Ted is that Ted has to be Ted Nugent for the rest of his life, and I don't have to be.
Yeah, she's on tour this summer with Def Leppard, Poison, and somebody else, and it was just like, oh man, that would be a concert to see. I love Def Leppard, I always have, but I'd never seen Joan Jett. And Motley Crue, really, I think, might be the other one.
Yeah, I just worry that Motley Crue. I worry about the energy of Vince Neil as singing is not the greatest.
Not anymore.
Sadly. I think a lot of hard living. But
did you know he saw after his daughter died, and he grieved? He said for a month. He said she would come visit him to help him through the grief.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this for real? But when I was watching the video, because I think he was talking to Kim Russo.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that. I used to watch that show. I haven't watched it in a long time, but yeah, I saw it.
I'm thinking to myself, now, why would you lie about something like that and look the fool? But he was emotional at one point. And she was like, Daddy, I have to go, and that just, I started crying.
Yeah.
I never thought I would cry over something with, Vince Neil, but yeah.
Yeah, Vince still struggles with, I think problems with drinking. I think a lot of it goes back to the loss of his daughter. And then before that, there was a drink driving incident where, what was it? Who was the guitarist that died in the wreck?
Oh, I remember that. I can't remember the name of the guitarist though.
I feel really bad not remembering his name because any other day of the week, I'd remember it.
But there's so many same stories like this though of people dying in wrecks from drinking and everything. Like Leif Garrett. A lot of people didn't realize
he nearly died.
But he was driving and he killed his buddy, and he had to live with that. No, or his buddy was in a wheelchair. Something of the kind.
Yeah, he put him in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Randy Rhodes.
Now, Randy Rhodes died in the plane crash.
Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't Randy Rhodes, but he reminds me of Randy Rhodes. The
Gotcha.
Hanoi Rocks. He was in her Hanoi Rocks,
Really?
but I
Okay.
can't remember the name. I just was lucky to get the band name to come up in the brain because I wasn't a big fan of Hanoi Rocks. No offense to them, but I just didn't know them. It
But
wasn't.
It's
It
just
was
that
a guitarist from
someone
Hanoi
said
Rocks.
Dwayne. No, not Dwayne Allman. No, not the Allman Brothers.
Mm-mm.
Let's see. Oh, we have a request at some point. Will you ever do a reading on Aaliyah?
Yeah,
Most definitely.
yeah. Just put her down.
Yeah, Heather and I would love to have you back for more of these if you're down with
Yeah,
it.
I'm sorry. This one crept up on me. I was like, I was feeling like I know I've got some appointments coming up, but I thought I was good for right now. It's like, oh shit.
But yeah, Aaliyah, it's been a long time for Aaliyah, and
She was very
from they were
spiritual.
saying she knew they were saying that the people were just like
They
she
gave
was so
her,
exhausted. They kept saying, "You got to get on this plane." Someone was saying,
they
"I don't
overloaded
know
it.
about the weight; it was overloaded." And someone was saying, "No, just get on the plane. Everything's going to be fine." And if only she had listened to her intuition.
I think we read on that earlier because I know that I did because I remember that bit. Something about seeing that. I felt like I remember reading on the pilot and trying to see if he knew. And I didn't know what the goings on were, but they were actually apparently later than I found out after I did the reading, because I find out a lot of stuff after the fact, that there had been the group had been arguing with the pilot to make him fly. He didn't want to because he was trying to tell him,
Yeah.
it's over too heavy.
Yeah.
Such a shame.
It is.
And very, very beautiful girl.
And then like 2 weeks later, we lost Lisa Left Eye.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a double whammy. I had just moved to Arizona, and I was struggling to get by. I was kind of depressed as it was, and within 2 weeks, I'm seeing this. We're like, oh my God, no! And then Lisa, and I was like, oh my, that was a rough summer. That really was.
I remember it was just creepy. Amy wants to know if we could do a reading on Janice Joplin. Yes.
Sure.
I don't know about that, Jake. I just think that some of the guys in the band wanted to go, and they were willing to take a very stupid chance, is what I got. And they were just pressuring the pilot to go, and they gave her a sedative when she got on the plane, from what I understand.
Yeah, because I think she might. I mean, I think on some level.
Yeah.
That something wasn't right, and that might have been why, she might be like, maybe we should listen to this guy.
Yeah, she was trying to. She did. And it's a pity that she didn't wasn't able to say no.
Yeah. And so we lost hers too soon.
Okay, what about Janice Joplin? Want to do that real quick?
Sure.
Why not?
Janice would be cool.
Janice, yes. She was neat. I've got tomatoes growing. I'm so happy. That's where
I love homegrown tomatoes. There's such a difference in the taste when
For real.
They're redder. They're not that hard kind of like pink stuff that you get in the supermarkets.
Yeah, it's
and
not
when it's homegrown. It's rich. You can the flavor just explodes.
That's right. That's what I was also out doing. It was like watering all the stuff and making sure that they're getting the fruit set on them so they look good. My mom's been working out the front, so it's like I'm doing more outside. Then, let's see, this Thursday before my live, I'm going to be working on my closets.
We got pretty much everything over here now, and I'm just kind of like, oh, don't fall on me.
Yeah, we're living out of boxes.
Oh my God.
Janice's energy to me, whenever I've read on her before, it's been a while. Oh, that's weird. I've got these 2 cards over here, but her energy is always really present to me.
Did you know from now, I believe these are reputable sources. I was reading an article, and she had just released her solo album, and she really wanted to focus on a family.
Yeah.
And she, all those years of touring and the drugs and the alcohol, she was just kind of like, man, I've had enough. She, she did her debut, and she reported that at that time, I just want to start a family. And I don't know if they, pressured her. It got too much for her, and, she relapsed, and it's just sad. But she wanted to be a mama. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. It doesn't surprise me, though, because there's a number of different artists that once they've gone out there and done that. Yes, she did. Oh, God, that's so sweet. Can you imagine the hangover? Yeah, I think a lot of artists that want to have a family, they want to have a base, a root,
some sort of stability.
Yeah. They want to have something of substance rather than living out of a suitcase. That's, that's so hard.
And she was another one that was respected by the men as well. She partied with them. I've seen the old videos of her with livestock and, Woodstock. And I'm just like, oh God, if only. And what's so sad is the year I was born is like when we lost all three of them.
71?
Like, well, I know a couple of them died in 70. I was December of 70, but I know, I think Janice or Jimmy might have been in, I think Jim Morrison was 71. I'm not sure, but right around that time I was born, we lost three of the greats, and I'm just like, oh man, that just. Here, let me take Wendy off of here because we're no longer.
Yeah, we're looking at Janice. I'm getting the Hanged Man. So there was a delay, and this is dealing with patience. And I'm getting a King of Pentacles. I feel like this was the man that she wanted to create a family with. And she did have a man that she had cleaned up, and he'd helped her to get off of heroin. But she had a problem with a relapse, and there was a really bad batch of heroin going around. Apparently, I looked into this more,
and it's still going on today.
Yeah, and it took she among many other people apparently that bought this heroin, especially because she had been clean. Just killed them.
Yeah.
So she's showing me the Hangman and the King of Pentacles and Justice. This is karma.
Here, let me put you, as Ron would say, in the hot seat.
In the hot seat. So there is Justice, balance. She was trying to create balance, but look at this, Five of Wands. It's a fight within herself. Discord, physical changes, and balance. And the sad thing was she had really cleaned up with this one boyfriend, and he'd been really good for her. And she went and hung out with this ex-girlfriend of hers, and he didn't like that because the drugs came back in.
Yeah.
So this is showing balance again, that she was trying to balance out the discord in her life.
Yeah, I got the Eight of Wands, her career was fleeting. It was kind of like a whirlwind for me with the Eight of Wands. It's just like everything's all going, she was focused, she was driven. It all happened so fast. She finally said, stop. Victory for me, the Wands would be like over the drugs, the alcohol, change of lifestyle. But then something happened that absolutely broke her heart. And there was things that were, hidden that had come, out there. And of course, you had the King of Pentacles. That was her guy that was willing to stand there with her. So yeah, I think what that hit, that Three of Swords, might have been her getting involved again, like you said, with that young woman. And then the moon, of course, you know.
Then they got
the secrets coming out, like, this is what I'm doing again, you know, this isn't. That's just
all the shame that comes with that, with addiction.
But
Hi, Hilda Flores.
Hi, Hilda. Yeah, I'm just going to want to see what that heartache was at the cards.
Yeah, see what you get for that. Kala Lily says Janice died October 4th, 1970.
Yep, 2 months before I was born. Almost to the day. My great grandmother is the 4th, my sister's the 5th, and then I'm the 6th.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
My grandniece is the 10th, and now her baby, my great grandnephew, is the 11th.
Oh my gosh, keeping it in the family. And Jim Morrison died July 3rd, 1971, a year later.
He was the 71. Okay. Oh, it jumped out again. 6 of Wands.
Wow.
That's interesting. That jumped out again. That's usually victory.
Yeah, it's like you win a battle.
It's really weird that popped out again. But why would that cause?
Well, she had been clean for a while before.
That was probably the heartache.
Maybe. Yeah, and you know how disappointing that would be. Like she was doing really well, and then she got back with that chick, and they went off the rails together.
6 of Swords, another
pity.
6, and there she goes. To me, it's like she's leaving her body. I think that's what, you know, when they do the drugs and everything, that release, they're leaving their body. They're getting out of their pain, out of themselves, and that's what that was, and it just took her right out.
You know, it's interesting you say that. I was just going to say, I had a dream, because, you know, I get the dream things, but years ago, years ago, it was very brief. And this is how I know it's one of those, because they're usually very brief. And I was shown Janice Joplin, and then I felt a sting, and I felt her screaming, and I could feel like falling, like I was her, but like feeling like you know, she was leaving her body. And then I woke up. So I feel like I had tapped into when she was exiting. I don't know why, but I see weird things.
Like maybe the needle going into her arm.
That's what I think it is. And the only way I knew that in retrospect was just in the last few years, I watched an autopsy thing on her.
Yeah, she had a lot to do.
Yeah. I you know, it was just a toxic relationship, and it's just like,
I wonder if this woman,
temptation,
wasn't really her friend and just wanted to see her fail and put her in that position of temptation.
I can't, you know, I'm really not sure about what I thought. Now I might be wrong, but I thought that this was somebody that she had once gotten mixed up with before and had quite a passionate.
Oh, so it was a previous lover, possibly.
I think so. And, you know, it was just not a good relationship. It got her back into a bad place.
And she looked like she was a beautiful soul, troubled, but she had a beautiful soul. I mean, whenever I see her pictures, there was never anything like icky, like coming from her.
No.
Or around her. Just that beautiful light in her eyes and everything. And, of course, sometimes that attracts the wrong people.
Right. She was a lover. She was not a predator, but she was a preyed upon. I think she was very vulnerable, and she had a lot of low esteem. So that's again where the drugs and the drink, you got to go up there.
Which is crazy, because she had the most incredible voice of any woman, I think, that's been on, with rock and roll. I mean, period. Oh, wow. 2 9s in a row. Wow. So I asked about the woman, and I got 9 of Swords,
Oh, wow.
So automatically, this woman, you know, ill intent, 9 of Wands. Yeah, she was jealous of her creativity, her fire, her passion, her
Mm-hmm.
success. I mean, just the look on her face was just like,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
kind of.
I don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Queen of Wands. You know, this was Janice, and that's what
Uh-huh.
she was jealous of. This beautiful, you know, woman in touch of her creativity, her voice, her ability to write, everything. She had everything, and she did not like that. She was going to spread her wings. There we go. She was spreading her wings. She was going solo. She had her new album. She was going to start a family, new relationship. And this individual woman, whoever, did not like it. And, um, you know, I don't think she intentionally meant, you know, for her to die, but she wanted her to suffer, you know, because she didn't, you know. Woo,
Yeah, I think there was some
that just jumped
drama.
out.
It just seems like whenever she hooked up with this chick, there was always drama, you know? And it's just one of those
Uh-huh.
things, you know,
There we
and it's
go.
just like, what a pity that
Janice
she
was the
couldn't have
Queen of Swords. She was
avoided her.
intelligent. She was
Fiery.
beautiful. She knew how she could communicate. Her lyrics, her music, she was spiritually connected as well. And this was the other woman, 5 of Pentacles. Not, you know, just lack. There was just this, she's got the money, you know, this was everything that, she was everything that Janice wasn't. And
Yeah.
that made her, and it's stark too compared to, you know, this bright, whoops, sorry,
Yeah.
everybody, this bright light of Janice. And this was how she was feeling. This was her soul.
Cold. It's a
Cold.
cold light compared to
Yeah.
the cards that Janice got, which were very
5 of
warm.
Pentacles, keeping, you know, struggle, money, you know, destitute, you know, um, you know, like she was about to lose, like she lost her very own clothes. All she had was the coat on her back, you know, sort of thing. And so, yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Her voice was phenomenal, Paula Lily. Just like, you know, with unfortunately losing Amy Winehouse, her demons got the best
Oh,
of her too. And she was trying to get clean. And again, they get put into these situations where, you know, people come around and they enable, you know, and they'll come around and do stuff in front of her. And, you know, she just couldn't say no. That was another back to black was
oh, great.
that song. Was just incredible.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Piece of My Heart. It's very soulful.
Mm-hmm. So let's see, it's 10 o'clock. How are you feeling? Do you want to maybe see if anyone has another female artist that we want?
Yeah, one more.
Yeah,
One
because I
more.
have nowhere to be tomorrow morning, so
I
I'm usually up late.
I hope that I'm not going to be up late because I have to get up early and help my mom clean.
So it's
And
about
then
7 your time, right?
yes. And
Okay.
I've got to just give you guys the I've got to get back in touch with a person that I was talking to about for the Thursday night live stream. Wait a minute. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right?
Yep. Tomorrow is garbage day at the other place.
No.
We have one more. We have one
See,
more trip to make, and then that's it.
Thursday is garbage night here. So it was like, wait a minute, don't do that to me,
Don't.
man. You're messing with my head.
No. I'm just thinking, you know, now that.
Okay. Yeah, no, my mom was gonna come and help me today, but somebody ended up getting hold of her debit card and spending money, so she had to.
Oh, geez.
Oh, Naomi Judd. That's who we should look at.
Okay, let's see. Naomi Judd. Yeah, that's a sad story.
Yeah, I've always liked her, and I knew that she suffered from hepatitis.
Yeah, but I didn't know about the mental health.
I didn't know about it either. I mean, I knew that the hepatitis was giving her problems with her mental health, but I didn't know that, you know what I mean, that it just on top of it all, as bad as it was.
So let me just scroll go in here and just type in
Yeah.
delete and just add that we've got Naomi.
Yeah, Naomi Judd.
So let's see what
And Patsy Cline would be good too. Yeah, I love old Patsy Cline.
my dad loved Patsy Cline and Peggy Lee. When Leanne Rimes came out and she did that song with a bit of the yodeling, my dad fell in love with her. She sounds like my Cline, you know.
She did. She did. That was such a beautiful, beautiful cover. Okay, so this is on.
I'm gonna use a different deck. This keeps shuffling and shuffling. It doesn't feel like it wants to stop.
Naomi Judd. See what she wants to share. Naomi Judd. Well, I get death.
Okay.
Yeah, so that makes sense. And so she's still undergoing transformation. Okay.
Let me put you
on the big, and I get victory. So an ending, transformation, victory, and with the Six of Wands also can be friendship. But I think that she stuck around, I think, for as long as she could, maybe longer than they expected her to on the other side, because it does show victory for them. And we know that she ended up, unfortunately, taking her own life. But I also get the Eight of Wands, organized, dynamic. So here is the energy of her going out. I think she went very quickly. Yeah. And the Seven of Wands. She had the Seven and the Eight of Wands. And she had problems with the feeling of her sense of self-worth, with competition and confidence. But I also think that she wanted to have more control over the end of her life, is what it looks like to me, and wanted it on her own terms, if that makes sense.
That was the same as we got for Wendy O Williams.
Wow.
She was in control of her whole life in the beginning. This is how I present myself. This is how I say. This is how I do. And damn it, I'm going to go out on my own terms as well.
Yeah. And see, here's the Lovers. This is decisions that she made and clarity. So I get the feeling that Naomi planned this out to some degree, or had gone through her mind about what she was going to do. She made this decision.
Yeah, but the day before they were supposed to be inducted into the Country Hall of Fame as a family. That's still, I cannot wrap my mind around why, she would do that to her children. But like I said, we don't know what was going on in her mind or her life,
I get the King of Swords, intellectual. So I feel like she was trying to look at this from a very logical point of view. And she will be looking at that, certainly, I feel like, on the other side. There's nothing but love for her choice. There's no judgment on what she, felt like she had to do. She couldn't take it anymore. And it looks to me like there's a guide and a father figure that come in with the Emperor.
Okay, so that's what, okay. I'm just looking at some of the cards that I have.
She's going through a lot of her past, the nostalgia, and kind of cleansing and letting go of, I think, the stuff that was tripping her up and affecting her mental health, that came from growing up, came from the past, her childhood, quite possibly. Childhood, ding, 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 yeah. And she has buried trauma with the Eight of Swords.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of buried trauma that she was not able to purge in life.
Yeah. So let me just do this really quick. First card, I got false person. So for me, this might be just to the public. And I
facade.
think she was masking what was
Yeah,
really going
the
on.
entertainer. Yeah.
And in both separate decks, I both got the child card.
Oh,
So you're saying something from childhood, that this has
yeah.
been ongoing. Then I got the high honor card, and sometimes for me this feels like she felt like she was held in high honor, but at the
Uh-huh.
same time I don't like the firing range, because to me it feels like,
The gun.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
like there was just too much coming at her. And you said with the male, so I got the male card twice in this deck
Hmm.
and in that one as well on the other side. But then what was weird though with this one, I got unexpected income. So I don't know if that meant with her passing, um, there would be her part of the money for her records or something might go to her children. I want to make sure they went to her daughters. I'm not sure. There was expectation, I think, too, with people knowing that this was possibly going to happen. And I think she did leave a message. There was a
Oh,
message of some
wow.
sort.
Mm-hmm.
And with the other decks, I got the dark cloud for me, hiding depression.
Also, depression's that dark cloud.
Hmm. And there's the message card again.
And I
That
had
was
her
like,
organized. For what she was fighting, it's surprising. Sorry.
it's okay.
God, stupid people.
The moon, things were, that were hidden were coming out to light.
Mm-hmm.
Intuitively too, I'm feeling like people knew that this was going to happen. Just not the people around her, but herself as well. And especially as the last card, for me, this is like the family tree as well. But what's sad is this family's tree feels like it's on fire,
Yeah.
So her maybe there was something going on in her family that we don't know, that was maybe disintegrating, or relationships might have been fired up, emotions, something going on that was being fired up. But to have the moon and then the family tree, for me in this,
Yeah.
yeah, it all weighed down in on her, and that she
Yeah.
just couldn't handle it anymore.
And I
then that's when
wonder.
I got that. So he was waiting there for her. And then, of course, that's a beautiful pink heart, green and pink heart. So it was a loving individual waiting for her on the other side.
For what she was fighting, it's surprising she held out this long. Yeah. Yeah. I when you realize that she was battling the kind of mental illness, the depression she was, it is amazing. And it's a real testament to her strength, makes me sad that, but I just feel like she is working through the stuff, the healing that she couldn't have here for whatever reason going on there.
Oh, Jake is actually taking a look at Naomi's Judd's birth chart.
Ah.
She had a hard life. Yeah. Read this. Yeah, she was poor, trying to raise her daughters.
And then I think she had an abusive spouse, that Winona's dad, whoever, and Ashley.
So that could play a very big part of it too.
And also, she had very high standards for her daughters. To think that she tried to be a single parent and
sorry about that,
have her girls sing and have some kind of life. They really, their stories always interested me and impressed me. And I like Ashley Judd. I think she's a good actress. I like their music. I'm not
I still
don't listen to a lot
that
but
that rally she did where she was throwing back at 45 and stuff during his presidential nasty women. Well, I'm proud to be a nasty woman. You have, da da da, and I was just like, "Oh, girl, you go."
Yeah, she was great. Yeah, Jake.
But yeah, she's. Oh, sorry.
He's saying definitely issues with family indicated in the chart really strongly.
But yeah, there was all this, this is interesting because I thought this was her saying, well, everything is out in the open now. The sun She's healthy. This is the message that she's sending from with love to everybody. But then at the last card, I got the suffering. So maybe that's just saying that she's no longer suffering.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
I got
so
healing.
Sending the message of healing, love, light, and she's no longer suffering.
Like she's, to me, at this moment, it honestly looks like processing the past and working on getting it healed.
My only concern now with when it comes to mental health is how the media loves to spin everything when there's a shooting or anything bad that happens.
They'll say that they had to be mentally ill.
The first person is this person's got to be mentally ill.
No,
and
you can
just reignite, just that whole stigma. It just reinstates it. It just and I hate to see what
It's not
going to be.
Yeah, it's more. The truth is, these people are more disordered. They're not. Having a mental illness, they have a disorder that they're not that they could get in control of, but nobody's apparently watching these kids.
And statistically, what I learned when I discovered I had a mental health and diagnosis, and I started working with independent living of New York, Western New York, that there are more individuals with a mental health that are victims.
That's right.
Then there are people with mental health going out and actually
they are the victims. They're vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. So it's always being turned the other way around.
Yeah, scapegoated because it's because people don't understand enough about the difference between somebody that's actually got a mental illness and somebody that's got a mental disorder that thinks that they've got to go and do this, that this is, there's a difference.
Yeah. We had a guy in Niagara Falls, it's about 5 years ago, 5 or 6. And he can be a pain in the ass. He would go in for his mental health in the hospital and he'd be on the streets, but he never hurt anybody. And there were times when he would just be like really nice. Sometimes he'd be a little belligerent. Well, don't you have a cigarette or this or that? He never harmed anybody. And one day he asked the person, and these two guys jumped him and beat the shit out of him. And actually, the community actually rallied around this guy because everybody knew him from the area.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's old Bob or whatever.
And I haven't heard anything about him for 2 or 3 years now, but they did an interview with him, and even through his state, he was like, I don't hurt nobody. I don't mean to hurt nobody.
Oh, God, that's awful.
And so,
Just hate that.
so it's the exact opposite. It's a lot of times it's people going after the individual because they think because they have that, mental health or whatever, they have the right, to judge and put punishment on, those individuals. So it just drives me nuts when lawyers use the mental health, excuse, or thing for their clients.
Yeah, it's and I think it's because our no worries, Calla Lily. I think it's because society doesn't really understand still.
Yeah, most definitely. So, but it is going on 10:30.
So,
still, thank you for coming on with us.
And again, I'm sorry that I was not on time. That's not good, but I will be next time.
Yep. So, is there another female artist that Heather and I can have you back on for it, and then another read that you would like to look into?
Oh,
think about it.
Let me investigate that. How
pool it together.
How about Blondie?
Debbie Harry.
Yeah,
that was interesting because when we were reading earlier, Blondie was supposed to be, started out at CBGB's, with the punk rock, but a lot of people, and I think that's one of the things that that picture of Wendy that says death to sync pop, Might have been partially in reference to Blondie, because Blondie, the Go-Go's, they were all punk. That was their, but then once they were offered the contract, they had to soften up or become more polished. And I'm thinking that might have been somewhat of the reference, that
I think
Blondie
you're
went
right.
from the punk to the once I love, I still love that they did that music,
Absolutely.
but it was a very abrupt way of. And when I say Go-Go's, people, go take a listen to some of the early Go-Go's.
That's
They
right.
played so fast, they played so hard, and Belinda Carlisle was just like, and I'm just like, wait a minute, what is she saying?
Yeah, that's it. They were like, oh yeah, The Tide is High. She did a beautiful cover of that. I do too. I love Blondie.
Yeah.
Such positive memories. Yeah. So
yeah, that's my childhood right there. Yeah.
Yes.
And they put Darth Vader for some reason in the video. I don't know why. I don't remember watching the whole video, but I remember seeing a clip of it going, why is Darth
he in there?
Yeah. You can see the back of his helmet and his cape. I'm like, okay, that was the 80s. Everybody was doing all sorts of drugs and weird shit.
Quaaludes, who knows?
Yeah. But alrighty, well, thank you, everybody.
Thank
Heather,
you.
too, later on watching the rest of this. Rest of this. Can you tell it's been a long day?
Yeah.
Thank you for watching the rest of this. And hopefully you'll be able to catch some of the beginning on what we, talked about and discovered about Wendy. And thank you, everybody, for allowing, Heather and I to start our first one. And thank you, Maija, for joining us. And we'll look forward to the next one.
Yes.
Life happens.
I'll pick some more. I'll pick some more ones for you guys.
Yeah, well, I'll toss them kind of like into a pile and kind of maybe even just do papers and say, okay, who, and maybe instead of just one person, maybe do a couple at a time, like we did tonight.
Yeah, because it seems to go pretty quickly.
Yep, Kala Lily, you got it right there. The girls laughed because they said they had a 45-minute set, and they would be done within the first 15 minutes because they played so fast, all the songs. And they would have to repeat the same songs several times.
I didn't know
they
that.
played so fast.
That's hysterical.
I am glad though that they did get a producer that helped them hone there, because each of the Beauty and the Beat was cool. Is a classic still.
Yeah, I
it
love
really
that
helped
one.
women get out there. So most definitely. All righty, we had fun in the 80s. We sure did.
Yes.
I still hope to hit the roller rink, even though I've been having knee problems and fibromyalgia flaring up again. I'm still hoping that at some point I can put a pair of roller skates on and still do a couple laps around the rink.
Well, I want your your partner there to get that on film, because I want to see that.
Except for the part where this time I'm going to have to make sure I have
the bumper,
pads, elbow pads, and everything. Because back in the day,
that would hurt.
Skate, you crash, you hit into a wall, you slam your face on the floor or whatever. You get up and go, ah.
I remember how all of that felt before my accident. I can remember how that felt. It just hurt. I just remember that.
But I would still get up and just keep going. This is a good song. I'm not stopping. And then by the time
butt
2.5
would be so bruised.
You
the
get
next
your skates
day.
off and you got the blister like this size, and you get home and you have to pop it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't care. I loved it.
That was fun. That was fun. I wish that they would have that more for kids now. They should bring back the roller rinks. And people
they are. I mean, a lot of the music now, and people are starting to bring, the regular four skates, and not they go, oh, you mean like the inline skates? I'm like, no, that's not roller skating. That's inline skating. Roller skating is 4 wheels on that
and the bumper
boogieing.
Yeah. I never could do it very well. But
we didn't have bumpers at my one rink. We had a thing where you can maybe hold on to, but after one point,
on the tip of
it was right up to the ledge.
But on the tip of the shoe, but on the tip of the boot.
Oh, the bumper. That's
right. I remember that, to like try and stop, and then you'd like you face plant.
Yeah. Had to practice, learn how to do it, and the next thing you know, you're like falling flat over on your.
It's like there was no way to look cool,
No.
At least not if you were me.
But you get up, you shake it off.
That's right.
You shake
Everybody's falling.
Back on there, yeah. It was awesome.
Hmm.
Alrighty, everybody, have a good night.
See you
Some
later.
prayers to those poor children and those family, love and light,
Please.
and
Send
be
this
good to
world.
each other.
Yeah,
And
be
we
good.
all, yeah,
Forgive. Move on.
yeah.
It's not worth it. Life's too short. Go get some
Okay.
sun.
Yes, like Maija did today, and I did. It was a beautiful drive today. It was
I
a
thought of
perfect
you
day.
today. I wanted to go get my
70
art supplies.
degrees. 70 degrees. We had sun,
Did you
blue
sketch
sky.
today?
No, I had too much stuff I had to do.
Mm.
So yeah, I found a when I was at the water yesterday, I was like walking around by the stones, taking pictures of driftwood and everything, and something caught my eye from underneath this big heavy piece of driftwood, and it was a bird's wing. I guess the thing had dropped on the bird.
Oh,
I know, and I go, what is this? And I pull, and the wing came right out, and it's in my hands, going, okay, now what do I do with this? It was beautiful. I put it in the water and stuff, and I immediately thought, get a hold of Jill, my friend Jill.
Mhm.
She's Tuscarora native, and I said to Jill, I took a picture, and I said, what bird is this? What do I do with it? How do I properly honor its spirit without,
right.
And she said, oh, she goes, can I have that? She goes, can I take a look at it? She goes, because like the day before, she had been thinking about getting a bird wing. And then here I find one the next
That's
day underneath
crazy.
that driftwood. So I had to drive out to the reservation this afternoon. Beautiful weather, and to leave it at her place. And she sent me a message a little while ago saying, with some love, she goes, it's good. So
Oh,
we'll
good,
see
good,
what she does with it.
Ooh,
But yeah.
keep us in the loop. That's really
Yeah,
neat.
I mean, she's thinking it might be crane, but the wingspan was just like that, and I'm like, that's not a crow, that's not, So she's thinking it might have been a crane.
Wow.
Who knows? But I guess I was meant to find it. Hi, Tracy. We're actually just about ending, but thank you.
We're
We have
about
a
our
whole, like, 2
voices of
hours.
sound like we have hairballs.
Yes, time to go get some water and hydrate. But thank you for dropping by. Please watch replay if you like. We Heather and I for the
Started
first
out.
hour read on Wendy O Williams. Maija was able to join us, and we read some more, and we actually did Janice Joplin as well too this evening. So
Yeah, we did a few.
Yeah.
Or we could do
Janice.
share. We could do share next time. Share. Let's do share next time.
Do it like Cher, or just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, share. I'm sure. Didn't we talk about this? That you and I used to watch the show when we were little.
Yes.
That was you.
And
Yeah.
my favorite part was when little Charity. Chastity.
Chastity.
Would come out, and I'd be like, oh, look, it's just like me.
Yeah, then I did too.
So that's why it was striking me. This is like when Madonna came out, she was showing her belly button and everything. And then I'm looking back at these old 70s shows with Cher. Cher was showing a hell of a lot more than Madonna was.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why did they go after, Madonna when Cher was showing Cher was sharing a lot more.
Cher was very sharing.
Yes. She loved to share. So that would be an interesting read too. Oh, it's okay, Tracy. That's fine. We'll
No
have to have you on
worries.
maybe next time too, and you can read with us.
That'd be cool.
If anybody would like to join Heather and I on one of our lives, with Maija, not too many people and one particular, so we can get through, the cards, but anybody be interested in a future read and have a certain person in mind, shoot Heather and I an email and let us know, and we'll start working things out. So a little bit here, it's a little bit unpacking here, a little bit there. So give me a couple weeks, we'll make it happen.
Yeah, those Bob Mackie dresses, I love those.
Oh, good Lord!
And I loved her makeup. It's like, oh my God.
Most definitely.
All right. Gotta go.
Good night, Maija.
Bye.
Thank you for coming by. Bye.
Thank you
Bye,
for
everybody.
Bye.
Yes. Bye.
And I'll contact you for Thursday's live.
Bye. Awesome. Bye. Bye, everybody. Have a good evening. Mwah.